What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I'm going to be revisiting a fight that I don't like talking about because of the respect of these two men. But on January 1941, Brown and Milliken met up with the former three-weight division, featherweight, welterweight, and lightweight champion, homicide Henry Armstrong. Met him in New York, not far away from a famous bar restaurant. It was located in Harlem on 92 St. Nicholas Avenue. Armstrong was born in Columbus, Mississippi. He relocated to St. Louis, passed through New York, and he would reside in the West Coast. He lived from 1912 to 1988. His father was Irish and black, and his mother was 100% Iroquois Indian. And Henry would capture the featherweight championship belt, October 1937. New York's Madison Square Garden, from Petey Cerrone. He would become the first black featherweight champion from the United States. And this happened the same year that Joe Louis would become the second black heavyweight champion of the United States when he defeated Jimmy Braddock, Comiskey Park in Chicago. And Henry Armstrong would add insult to injury by moving up to the welterweight division to face Barney Ross from Chicago. Fought him at the New York Madison Square Garden Bowl, May 31st, 1938. If that wasn't enough, he would drop back down to the lightweight division on August 17th, 1938. New York's Madison Square Garden to face the Hickemeyer Hurricane, Lou Ambers. And after 19 welterweight title defenses, he would lose his crown on October 4th, 1940. To the Pittsburgh veteran, Fritzy Zivik. Fritzy Zivik would have 4 brothers. He would be the youngest brother. And he would become the welterweight champion of the world. Now, Henry Armstrong would fight him in New York's Madison Square Garden, in front of a crowd of 12,081 spectators. And ironically, on that same card, a phenomenon from Harlem would make his professional debut. His name was Sugar Ray Robinson, a.k.a. Walker Smith. Now, during the past year as a professional, Armstrong would train in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It would be his last year as a professional. Armstrong would train in New York Stillman's gym, located between 57th Street and 8th Avenue. Brown had asked Henry Armstrong if he would be kind enough to take the young fighter under his wing. From Augusta, Georgia, his name was Beau, formerly named Sidney Walker. He wanted to somewhat pass the torch to this young phenomenon. And why not? Henry Armstrong was loved in New York's Madison Square Garden. And ironically, Beau, till this day, would hold the main event, highest ever, New York's Madison Square Garden, of 21 outstanding fights. Timmy Larkin would be number 2 at 19. So when these two men would eventually face one another, and we'll get to that, Beau would be the one, although beloved in New York's Madison Square Garden, to hear the boos, because of the history that was made by hammering Henry Armstrong. Now, Milliken and Bowen had asked Henry Armstrong how the young Beau was doing and how was he coming along. Henry Armstrong stated that he was strong as a bull. Let me work with him, and I could definitely help him become a lightweight champion one day. And Beau was having an up and down career up until that point. He lost 4 out of 17 bouts 1941. Bojack would now become Henry Armstrong's sparring partner, and he would learn tricks of the trade and become a crowd favorite. And New York's Madison Square Garden would embrace him. But not on the night of April 2nd, 1943. It would be on a Friday night. Henry Armstrong stood 5 foot 5.5 inches. He weighed 138 pounds. He had a 67-inch reach. He's 32 years of age. And he won 128 explosive bouts, 17 losses, 7 draws, and 88 unbelievable knockouts. You see, Henry Armstrong in 1937 would have 27 bouts, a few Hall of Fames, and champions along the way. He would have 26 knockouts in that very same year. The only fighter he didn't knock out was Ali Spaulding, who he would knock out later on in his career, twice. As for Bojack, stood 5 foot 6 inches, weighed 135 pounds, he had a 68-inch reach. "22 years of age, had a fighting record of 52 wins, 6 losses, 2 draws, 31 knockouts. And he would be entering the biggest moment of his life. Now, Bojack will become a lightweight champion on December 18th, 1942, with a third-round knockout of New Jersey's Tippy Larkin for the vacant New York Sacks lightweight championship belt. Between May 21st, 1943 and July 12th, 1948, Bojack would face great fighters such as Sammy Ingot, Juan Zorita, Bob Montgomery, Fritzy Zivik, and Johnny Bratton, Ike Williams 3 times, Henry Armstrong and Willie Joyce and Lou Jenkins, just to name a few. The majority of these men were champions. Bojack and Bob Montgomery once raised $35,864,900 for the World War II National Dry Bond. They would both be paid $1 each. Turned out to be one of the greatest lightweight championship bouts in boxing history. Jack would go back to his store, which was actually a little shoeshine box corner. And he would start his business once again at the famous Fontainebleau Hotel. He shined shoes for men such as Jerry Lewis, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr., Milton Berle, Eddie Caton, Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Martin Luther King, Joe Louis, you name them. He shined their shoes because he became a commodity and a landmark. You didn't go to the Fontainebleau Hotel unless you visited Bojack's shoeshine box. They all wanted to take pictures with him. It was an honor for them. He would receive $40, $100 tips. And in the process of that, he would be more than welcome to take photos with them. You see, he was the actual star. I spoke to Sugar Ray Robinson 2 separate occasions in my life. He told me, you did not visit that hotel without getting your shoe shine from the famous Bojack shoeshine stand. It was an honor, Ray Robinson said to me. But on the night of April 2nd, 1943, it was passing of the torch. Because after that fight, Ray Robinson would fight Henry Armstrong as well. he would lose to both Robinson and Beau did Henry Armstrong. Let's take a quick look of that fight between Henry Armstrong, Beau. And I don't revisit that scrapbook very often because once again, I look up to those two men because of the thrills they gave this boxing game. But let's take a look at Henry Armstrong and Beau on the night of April 2nd, 1943.